And for more on this partisan fight ahead, let's bring in Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin. Thanks so much for joining us, Senator. Mitch McConnell made it clear.
My pleasure.
Mitch McConnell certainly made it clear this afternoon. A final vote on whoever President Trump nominates for the Supreme Court will come by the end of this year. As we've mentioned, nearly all Republicans have said they support voting on a nominee before a new term starts in January. If they have the votes, what options are left for you and your colleagues?
Well, first of all, pointing out to the American public what's at stake in the filling of this vacancy, with the court scheduled to hear a case on whether to overturn the Affordable Care Act in the middle of a pandemic. Women's reproductive rights are on the at stake. Climate change. Workers' rights and worker safety. So I think our strongest hope here is to engage the American public and make sure that they speak with all of their senators. I'm reminded of that night in 2017 where the Affordable Care Act was receiving a vote in the Senate of whether it should be repealed or not. And we didn't have the votes then. The Republicans were in control. Trump was president. But because the people demanded change and to change course and to keep the Affordable Care Act, we were able to do that when John McCain joined two other Republicans in voting no. I have not given up hope. And in fact, I feel that we have to use every tool that we have and engage with the American public on calling them out and their hypocrisy out.
And your fellow senator from Wisconsin, Republican Ron Johnson, 4 years ago supported Senator McConnell's decision to not give President Obama's nominee Merrick Garland a hearing, saying at the time, let the American people have a voice, let them decide the direction of the court through their votes. He has changed his mind this time. Have you talked with him about it? And how do you think that voters in your key swing state of Wisconsin are taking all this?
Well, I have not talked to Senator Johnson about his comments on this vacancy, but I have to say that the way I see Wisconsinites looking at this is shuddering at the thought that if Mitch McConnell proceeds the way that he is headed, that they could lose their health care, that women could lose their reproductive freedom, that workers could have less protections and ability to organize, that climate change will remain a problem with no help from this court in fighting one of our most existential threats. And I think Wisconsin folks are looking at this substantively and saying, we're voting already. Wisconsinites have received absentee ballots, many of them already. They're voting for the next president. And I think they understand that the next president ought to be the one who makes the nomination for this vacant Supreme Court seat, not the current one, unless he's reelected.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has said everything is on the table if Republicans push forward with this nomination before the election. Would you support getting rid of the filibuster and expanding the amount of justices on the Supreme Court if Democrats take back the Senate, as some of your colleagues have suggested?
You know, I'm not going to speculate and hypothesize about things that are going to be potentially or not potentially happening next year, probably the spring of next year. I am still squarely focused on engaging the American public in trying to stop a vote this year until the election results are in, and then to make sure the next president, no matter who he is, has the opportunity to make this nomination.
And moving now to, of course, the sad milestone today, 200,000 Americans dead from COVID-19. Just today, your governor declared a public health emergency because of continued outbreaks on college campuses in Wisconsin, saying that young people need to skip the bars and stop having the large gatherings. Should students even be allowed on college campuses if they're turning into hotspots?
You know, the universities across the state worked very hard through the course of the summer to try to create safe reopening plans. I don't think any one of them can say, what next month will look like, because they're taking it one day at a time. They're testing all the students, especially those who are living on campus, and making adjustments to plans as we speak. The Madison campus went from hybrid in-person for small class instruction and remote for large lectures to all online to see if they can bend this curve. But I want to just go back to your opening point about the grief we all feel about 200,000 Americans dead. It did not have to be this way. And I lie the blame, frankly, at the feet of Donald Trump, who knew how serious it might be and downplayed it, and then pushed back against our scientists and never put into effect safety pandemic guidelines for workers and workplaces, and never unleashed the full potential of the Defense Production Act to make sure that we had the supplies that we need. It is now September. The pandemic started in February, and that we are still having essential workers who don't have adequate masks, and that we still have shortages of tests, and that Wisconsin has seen a record number of new cases, set 3 records in the last week. It didn't have to be this way, and I hope voters are thinking a lot about that.
Senator Baldwin, we thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.